What's behind me is not important.
Hey everybody, my name's Tim. I am an HPD instructor and track day enthusiast. I often get asked questions regarding track day events, which has led me to making this series of videos. What you'll see is a ton of comprehensive information as a collection of tips, tricks, and knowledge I've picked up along the way, as well as from research I've done on HPDE and my instructor training. There are few thrills in life as exciting as driving a track at speed. The number one goal is always good, safe fun. With that said, it's worth mentioning that there are risks inherent with performance driving at the track. Doing your homework beforehand can help mitigate these risks. If you have questions or other helpful tips or disagree with something I've said, please indicate so in the comments below. Whether you're contemplating your first track event or you have been to the track and are now looking to improve your game, hopefully you find this video series informative and it helps your HPD event be successful and fun. This is video 2 in the series of 6. In video 1, I covered what defines HPDE, some of the general concepts of a track day, and how to find these events near you. I also covered track insurance and HPD associated costs. In this video, I will cover manufacturer warranty regarding tracking your car and driver prep, pre-track maintenance, track mods, and tires, as well as driver gear. First up is a look at the owner's manual. Many performance cars will have a track section of their owner's manual that covers track prep, as well as maintenance intervals with regards to fluids if you are taking your car to the track. Next up is your warranty. If you are concerned about your warranty, be sure to read the fine print in your owner's manual. Ford basically has outs listed in multiple areas. Participating in track events or other competitive driving without following the instructions provided may affect the vehicle warranty. See the warranty manual before using the vehicle for racing or other competitive driving. There's also this from the owner's manual. Despite this being listed, I have had warranty claims with my track car and they were all covered, to include a new transmission. With that out of the way, I'm going to start with a tech sheet. Tech sheets and inspection requirements will vary with organizations. Some organizations allow you, the owner, to inspect and sign off your own car. This is the most common from my experience. Others require a shop to perform the inspection. Lastly, some organizations require you to have your car inspected on site at the start of the track event. The topic of alignments generates a lot of questions. First off, an explanation of caster, camber, and toe. For simplicity, let's just say a street alignment puts your tire contact patch flat with the road. Your wheels will basically be straight up and down, perpendicular to the road. This is neutral or no camber, whereas a track alignment will angle the top of your tires inwards with added negative camber, thus reducing the contact patch when the car is traveling straight. Here are some slides that will help. This is a good slide that shows negative versus positive camber, toe in versus toe out, and negative versus positive caster. Caster is fixed on a Mustang like my GT500. On this slide here, take note of graphic number 2, neutral camber. Your tire is basically straight up and down, flat when going straight. Your contact patch is the whole bottom of the tire when going straight until you go into a loaded corner. Shift over to number 3 there. As the load increases laterally, your contact patch is going to shift to the outside of the tire. You're going to have less tire touching the surface, and you're going to have uneven wear on the outside edge of your tire. If you add negative camber like graphic number 4, as you go into a loaded corner, the tire shifts and you have contact patch uniform throughout the bottom of the tire. This is another slide that shows basically the same thing. When you add negative camber, your contact patch increases across the whole bottom of the tire when you go into a loaded corner. So why does adding camber help? I'm going to use a piece of foam to show the difference. These are aftermarket adjustable camber plates to allow you to add negative camber. Even with adjustable camber plates, you are still limited by the opening at the top of your strut tower. This opening can be cut larger. Since I didn't want to cut my car, I added camber bolts as well, which I'll cover in the mod section. This slide talks about toe in versus toe out. When you angle the front of the tires inwards, that is called toe in. Toe in provides straight line stability, but can diminish your turning performance, causing understeer. It also causes increased tire wear and increased temperature. Angling your tires out on the front, toe out, better turning performance, but can decrease your straight line stability. Consult your owner's manual or an alignment shop for the best track alignment settings for your particular car. Track alignment versus street alignment decision. This is a decision you must make whether to get a track alignment for your HPD event. If you know your car is going to be more of a track toy versus a daily commuter, I'd recommend getting a track alignment before your first track day. If you are new to the sport and not sure how involved you will get in the future, go to your track day with your car in street alignment. It takes time and money to get an alignment. That said, tires aren't cheap and proper alignment will help with tire longevity. A street alignment at the track will give you excess tire wear on the outer edges of your tires, most notably on the front tires with a front engine car. Whereas the track alignment with added negative camber on the street will give you excess tire wear on the inner edges of your tires. Excess toe can also lead to tire wear on the inside edges of your front tires. The softer the tire compound, the more revealing the tires will be of an improper alignment. I tell people to check their tires after track days to assess their alignment settings. Your tires will talk to you. Michelin 4S tires with a 340 tread wear rating might take a few track days to show uneven wear from a less than an ideal alignment. But Hoosier R7s with a 40 tread wear rating will typically show uneven wear just after one track day. Since this is an alignment discussion, we'll talk more about tires in a bit. One more point about adding negative camber. Adding negative camber can lead to tramlining on older grooved roads. Tramline is when you feel the front getting pulled left and right as the front tires search for grooves in the road. This is worse when you have wider front tires. For me, my car is about 98% track, 2% street. My car is not a daily driver. It's just a fun toy that comes out for periodic cruises and car shows. I mostly use it for track days though. I had a track alignment done prior to my first track day and the car has not been returned to street alignment since. I have done cruises with my track alignment, I've gone to car shows, but I definitely would not do daily commutes, nor would I take it for a cross-country cruise with my current aggressive track alignment. This next section covers the GT500. For all others, skip to the time listed below. The carbon fiber track pack cars and 2021-2022 handling package cars came with adjustable camber plates installed. 2020 handling package cars did not receive the adjustable plates. The adjustable camber plates do come pinned or screwed from the factory though. These pins or screws must be removed to allow adjustability of the plates. Here are the track alignment specs per the GT500 owner's manual. These cars benefit in both tire wear and handling from additional camber up front beyond what is listed in the owner's manual. The Ford alignment specs are simply the physical limits of the limited adjustable factory camber plates. I believe the engineers moved the basic plates to their full negative camber and declared that as the official track alignment specs for these cars. Before going further, first a disclaimer. I frequently get asked about my track alignment. I always tell people what works for me in my car and how I drive and the tracks I go to won't necessarily be the best for you. I run an aggressive track alignment. I also drive very aggressively. I tell people to start with the alignment settings in their owner's manual and then check your tires after track events. Your tires will tell you whether your alignment is good or needs adjusting. I started with the owner's manual recommended track alignment settings. My tire wear indicated I needed additional negative camber. I have run front camber settings from -2.2 to -3.5 with a combo of camber plates and camber bolts. I'm now running -3.0 front and -2.0 rear. This aggressive front camber has worked well for my car and the tracks I go to. Next up, brakes. Brakes are the single most critical item on a track car. If you lose brakes, your day is going to be instantly a whole lot less fun. This includes pads, rotors, and fluid. For brake pads, make sure they have adequate material left for your track day. Half thickness remaining is a good rule of thumb as a minimum. Do know that as brake pads get thinner, more heat is transferred into your calipers, which in turn heats up your brake fluid. Thicker brake pads will provide a bit of insulation for the caliper pistons and the brake fluid acting on these pistons. I smoked a caliper at the track, thin pads were a major contributing factor. Be sure to bed your brake pads if they are new, which is also referred to as brake burnishing. Procedures are in your owner's manual or found online, but generally involve a series of firm brake applications without coming to a complete stop. This next section is for the GT500 crowd. For the rest, skip to the time below. OEM Motorcraft GT500 pads are excellent at the track. They will be there time and time again as you mash the brake pedal over and over. I run Hawk Performance DTC 70 brake pads up front, 60s in the rear. The 70s up front are a hot track pad designed to work at track temperatures, not street driving temperatures. When the brakes are cool, as in driving around on the street using them occasionally, the pads can eat into your rotor. So not a great idea for the street. I just downshift when I rarely drive my car on the street to come to a slow or to a stop. My aftermarket Hawk Performance brake pads do not have wear indicators, so there's no inside or outside. The fronts tend to wear unevenly, so after a few track days, I swap inside to outside to even out the wear. Next up, rotors. Min thickness is usually stamped on the rotors. These are the markings on mine. I have turned mine without issues. You want your rotors true, not pulsing, with no major heat cracks. Don't be alarmed by minor cracks, they are considered normal, especially for a heavyweight car like mine. If you swap brake pad compounds, you may want to sand your rotors or have them turned to clean up the surface and then bed the pads with a fresh surface. I often clean my rotors myself with 80 grit sandpaper and a sanding block. It works great for removing pad transfer material. On to brake fluid and flushing. DOT4 high temp brake fluid or better is recommended. Don't fill your brake fluid reservoir to the max fill line. It will get warm and expand, causing it to leak out around the lid. I lower mine down to the min line, and I also put an absorbing hair band or hair scrunchie around the neck to soak up any spillage. I have a large suction tool to suck out excessive fluid out of the reservoir. Time to talk brake fluid and flushing. Old fluid or fluid that has absorbed moisture is less than ideal at the track. It's hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture. There's a good chance that you'll lose brakes as your fluid will boil easily. So how often should you flush or swap fluid? Here's what the owner's manual says. Most don't put fresh fluid in for each track day. When I used OEM Motorcraft fluid, I flushed before and after cota weekends, which is a big high-speed track, and maybe 3 to 5 regular track days. You can do an entire fluid replacement flush fill, or just bleed enough to get fresher fluid down to your calipers to replace the fluid that previously got hot at the track. If you haven't been to the track yet and your fluid isn't too old, i.e. your car is pretty new, your DOT4 factory fill will most likely be good for HPDE day. I usually just bleed in one bottle periodically versus an entire system fluid replacement. If you're about to do your first track event and your brake fluid hasn't been flushed recently, it's best to just do a full system fluid replacement flush to go to the track with a known quantity. The regular Mustang owner's manual calls for replacing brake fluid every 3 years for street driving. I have some older street-driven Mustangs that are still rocking their original brake fluid. It would be a bad idea to go to the track like this. How to flush. I have a Motul brake bleeder and a homemade receiver. This combo works like a champ. Start with the caliper furthest from the master cylinder and work to the closest caliper last. Inside bleeder, then outside bleeder. I show how to do this on my brake video linked above. Tighten your Brembo bleeders back to 168 inch-pounds. Tires are the second most critical item at the track, second only to brakes. Tires keep you connected to the track. If you have old, hard, or worn out tires, you won't have the necessary grip for turning, braking, or accelerating. Tires older than about 5 years will have lost grip enough to be noticeable at the track. How tires have lived their lives affect grip as well. If they are outside baking in the sun each day versus stored in a climate-controlled garage, grip will be affected differently as the tires age. Check how much meat is left on the tires by checking your tread depth and wear hole indicators if your tires have those. Also check for cords. Make sure you get down and look closely to check the inside edge for cords, which is hard to see when the tires are mounted on the car. All right, wear hole indicators on the Sport Cup 2s. You can see right there. So that's the outer shoulder, the wide part outside. If you can see that, they're considered not fully worn. They can heat cycle out. You'll know that when you lose grip. If you ever do Hoosiers, that's the wear hole indicator right there on the outside again. Know that your tires can heat cycle out while they still have tread left on them. If you experience reduced grip on your tires that have been to the track multiple times, there's a good chance they've had enough heat cycles to affect grip. So what is a heat cycle? Heat cycle is getting your tires up to track temperatures hot and then cooling back off again to ambient temps. Be mindful of the condition of your tires. Take an extra set of wheels and tires with you if you have the means. Don't let a blown or corded tire ruin your track day or track weekend. Speaking about heat cycles, when you buy competition tires from some vendors, you'll have the option to have them heat cycled before you get them. Heat cycling and getting them warm, letting them cool down, kind of cures them and it helps with longevity. So what type of tires should you take to the track? The following is tire guidance from an organization I coach with. Use Z or better rated tires. Z rated tires are made to withstand the stress and high speeds and fast cornering. Z rated tires also tend to be made with stickier rubber compounds. It's also important that your tires are in good condition. This may seem obvious, but bad tires are the most common cause of failure during extended high-speed runs, and when a tire goes, control is lost. The rubber in older tires may not be as flexible or resistant to heat as newer tires. Also, repaired tires, such as nail punctures, may have suffered invisible structural damage and may be more likely to separate at high speeds. Please, no plug tires. It is generally recommended that you bring partially worn tires to the track, unless it's raining. Partially worn tires have a number of performance advantages. Previous use will have helped your tires to become more resistant to abrasion. This is known as heat cycling, which I mentioned a bit ago. Heat cycling changes the chemical bonding in the tires and makes them more resistant to abrasive wear. Second, a partially worn tire or shaved tire will have a more solid feel due to minimal flexing of the mostly worn tread blocks. Tires with full tread depth are squirmier because the tread blocks will have the tendency to roll over under fast cornering. The trick is to bring tires that won't wear out before the end of the track event. If you are going to be getting new tires, we recommend that you put 300 to 400 miles on your new tires before driving them at the track. You might want to get your wheels and tires rebalanced prior to a track day. Unbalanced vibration at speed is no fun. A couple of pro tips: tape your weights to keep the hot brakes from melting the adhesives, which can cause your wheel weights to sling out the wheels. I use standard HVAC foil tape on the rear wheels, which are smooth, and gaffer tape on the inside of the front wheels due to the textured heat coating on the inside of the carbon fiber wheels. Also mark your valve stems on your tires, which will show if your tires are rotating on your wheels. This is a constant battle I fight with my car due to the high horsepower, big brakes, and smooth carbon fiber wheels. My front tires rotate forward under heavy braking and my rear tires rotate aft under heavy acceleration. Regarding track tires, there's a wide variety of track tires available for cars. I'll talk about the tires I've used on my GT500. First up are the Michelin Sport Cup 2 tires, which are OEM on the carbon fiber track pack. These tires don't come with a whole lot of tread depth. Because of this, they have wear hole indicators on the outer shoulders to show you how much tread is left on these tires. As long as your tires have not heat cycled out, they are considered good if you can still see the wear hole indicators. Same goes for Hoosier R7s, which I've used, and other performance track tires. Speaking of heat cycles, how many heat cycles or track days can you expect out of your tires? The answer is it depends wildly. A lot of variables. 4S tires will last longer than Sport Cup 2s, which will last longer than Hoosier R7s. If you attack corners aggressively with a heavyweight horsepower car, you might only get 3 track days out of your Sport Cup 2s. If you drive more gingerly or use a lighter car, your track life might extend out to 5 or 6 or even more days. As for heat cycles, you typically get about 5 sessions per track day. 3 days would be about 15 cycles. With a 4,100 pound car, you will likely burn through the usable tread before the tires heat cycle out. All right, talking tires and sizes. On my car, I've run 305 squared, 315 squared, and the staggered setup from the factory 305 in the front, 315 in the back. 315 squared does not work with big negative camber up front. I have added wheel spacers and camber bolts to make all that happen. A tire's tread wear rating is a good indicator of the compound softness and subsequent grip. The lower the number, the softer the compound and the better the grip. Of the tires I've run at the track, the tread wear ratings are Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, 340. Sport Cup 2, 180. Goodyear F1 Supercar 3R, my favorite tire by a long shot, 100. And I run that 305 squared. Hoosier R7s have a tread wear rating of 40. I've run those 305 squared, and the 305 Hoosier R7 is as wide as a 315 Sport Cup 2. The R7s typically require quite a bit of weight to balance. They also have a soft sidewall requiring more pressure than other track tires. My tires are constantly rotating on my smooth carbon fiber wheels, and the soft sidewalls plus the higher weights required to balance the tires makes for a lot of vibration at the track. Because of this, I'm not a fan of the R7s, even though their grip is superior. They come with a lot of drama. My tire preferences in order for my track car are Goodyear F1 3R by a long shot. Number 2 is Michelin Sport Cup 2. 3 would be Hoosier R7, and 4 would be Michelin Pilot Sport 4S. On to other fluids. So first rule of HPDE Club, make sure your vehicle is not leaking any fluids. If you start leaking fluids on the track, get off the track surface ASAP. Don't continue to leak fluids all the way back around to pit lane, or you'll end up shutting down the track for a long cleanup, and you will likely get an expensive cleanup bill. If you see smoke or steam, you are likely leaking fluids. Pull off the track surface ASAP. Fluids include engine oil, coolant, brake fluid, transmission fluid, and rear differential gear lube. For engine oil, it's a good idea to hit the track with fresh engine oil and a new filter. If you're not changing your engine oil, be sure to check the fluid level. For tranny fluid, check or top off as needed. Many transmission shift issues can be solved with topping off or replacing your tranny fluid. For your differential, make sure it's not leaking. Top off or change fluid as needed. Don't overfill though, or it may spew out through the vent tube at the top once warm. Coolers and radiators. Check for leaks and fluid levels. Also check for obstructions like bent fins and debris. Tow hook. If you have a tow hook, install it prior to your track day. If you go off track and need assistance, a tow hook is a good option to pull you out or pull you back to the paddock with a dead car. Track officials will not want you to get out of your car to install your tow hook when you need a tow. Just install it before going out on track. If you have provisions for a rear tow hook, install that as well. The GT500 has a front tow hook only. Press the door on the side firmly with your thumb to get it to pop open. Use the needle nose pliers to remove the barb and the cover. I have permanently installed an aftermarket tow hook and drilled the door. General mechanical condition, to include checking your steering, wheel bearings, and loose parts. Check your glass for cracks, chips, and cleanliness both inside and out. Some organizations will not allow a car with a cracked windshield on track. Clean the glass inside and out with your favorite cleaner and then finish with a dry rag. You don't want to discover your windshield is full of streaks, grime, film when you hit the track for your first session in the morning when the sun is at a low angle. Check your air filter for cleanliness and replace as needed. These are often out of sight, out of mind in a sealed air box, easily forgotten. Wheel bearings. Jack up your car and wiggle your wheels left to right. There shouldn't be any more than a tiny bit of play in the wheel bearings. Brake lights. Make sure they work. I was at the track following a guy at speed who didn't have working brake lights. This can lead to disaster. Headlights and turn signals for night events. Make sure they are operable. You're going to need headlights to see where you're going, and you will likely use your turn signals for passing signals. Convertibles. Check for rules governing convertibles, if allowed, and if a roll bar is needed. Car numbers. Most organizations will require identifying numbers on the cars so track officials can communicate about specific cars. These numbers can be vinyl stick-on types, magnetic, painter's tape, or even shoe polish on glass. Cars are sometimes required to have matching numbers on the back as well. Check with your organization. I have individual magnetic door numbers so that if another car shows up with my number, I can do a different combo of my numbers. My rear numbers are vinyl though. I'd have to tape over some digits to change them on the fly at the track. Lug nuts. Torque your lug nuts to the owner's manual specifications, but be sure to do this when the wheels are cool to the touch, not hot. I use this digital torque wrench, which is fantastic. Some GT500 specific items. For those of you watching with a 2020 plus GT500, this section is for you. For others, skip to the timestamp below. First up, the 2020 through 2022 GT500 specific items to address prior to hitting the track. Your track break-in is 1,000 miles, meaning Ford recommends putting 1,000 miles on your car before you take it to the track. Although the owner's manual doesn't call for it, I recommend doing your first oil change at 1,000 miles as well before hitting the track. The GT500 requires 11.5 quarts of oil. Ford calls for an oil change prior to a track event and change again after every 4 hours of track time. I don't quite change it that often. I typically change my oil after 2 intense track days at a big track like Cota, where I spend a lot of time at Watt, wide open throttles, and after 3 or so track days elsewhere at smaller tracks. I use the Motorcraft oil with the original metal mesh interior screen because I have a stockpile of those, and I use Motorcraft oil. The owner's manual calls for DOT4 or better. Don't use DOT5, which are silicone based, not DOT 5.1, that's something different. But DOT5 fluids are not compatible with your GT500. Since I run Motul RBF 700, I bleed my brakes multiple times throughout the year. It's hydroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture. Rear diff fluid, the Shelby supplement calls for it to be replaced after every 500 miles of track use. The dual clutch transmissions that came in the GT500s all came low on fluid from the factory. Be sure to top yours off before hitting the track. The GT500 air filter is in a covered box. They are often forgotten, out of sight, out of mind. They get dirty very quickly, especially at the track. Be sure to check yours before going to the track. Coolers. Check your tranny, oil, and engine coolers for debris and bent fins. Debris or bent fins can cause overheat issues at the track, which I have experienced. The transmission cooler on the GT500 easily gets fouled since it's up front, low, and horizontally mounted, and the oil cooler fins are super soft, easily bent from pebbles and rocks. Lug nuts, the S550 Mustang uses 150 foot-pounds of torque. Aero. Put your wing in the up/track position. I leave mine up permanently. Be sure to use the supplied toolkit. If you have the base model with the swing, install your gurney flap if you have the handling package. Most people just leave this permanently installed. Splitter wickers, if you have those, install them. I leave mine permanently installed. Rain tray removal. This helps with engine bay heat as well as hood buffeting. You will have to make a decision if it rains on your track day. I have driven on track in the rain without the rain tray installed and did not notice any ill effects. Pro tip, use a blanket across engine bay when installing or removing your rain tray. You will drop the fasteners and they will go down in your engine bay. Oil separator. The Ford return style system is large and robust. It separates the oil from the mist and puts it right back where it came from with no loss. Aftermarket units can fill quickly. Be sure to check between sessions. The Ford unit is fire and forget. High G loads combined with high power leads to considerable blow-by oil vapor. Selectable exhaust. This is the Achilles heel of the GT500. It's simply a matter of time before you get the exhaust mode selection not available message. I have multiple videos on my channel addressing this issue with various fixed strategies and have finally hardwired both sides full open. If the valves end up closing at the track or are not fully open, you can get a check engine light with a random misfire code due to exhaust gases back pressure. Mods for the track. PPF paint protection film is a good one. With sticky tires at the track, you'll get a bunch of pebbles being thrown from cars ahead. Protecting your car with PPF paint protection film is a good one. You can also use temporary stuff like track tape, painter's tape, or track wrap. Roll bar. A harness really helps secure you to your seat. You drive more relaxed and you won't be exhausted at the end of the track day. Track focused seats like Recaros are better than standard base seats, but you still slide around in Recaros under heavy cornering Gs. You will likely brace with your knees against the center console and door. A roll bar will offer rollover protection and also a good anchor point to secure harnesses. It's always a good idea, and some organizations will require you to have the same level of safety equipment for the passenger seat that you have for the driver's seat if you intend to have an instructor or a passenger in the car with you. Knee pads. Even with harness, I still brace with my knees. In hot weather, when shorts are allowed, you can get abrasions on the outside of your knees. Knee pads will help. Seat belt chime bypass for cars with harnesses. Got mine on Amazon. Then you don't have to listen to the dings. A fire extinguisher is a good idea for a track car. I have two. I have my main one is on my roll bar. Option 2 is an element chemical stick in my driver's side door. Adding downforce with additional aero. Adding aero downforce will help in the corners, but will add drag, which will likely slow your speeds in the straights. Your corners will be quicker, but you'll lose time in the straights. It's a balance when searching for your best lap times. You might also upset the balance of your car. For instance, if you add a bunch of rear downforce, you might induce understeer. Some GT500 specific mods. JLT rock blockers and or Jaeger Brother front flaps to minimize rock chips along the sides and the rear hips. You'll need to modify both for better success. Front caliper stud mod for ease of brake pad change. The front bolts are one-time use. If you install the studs, you can slide the calipers aft, swap the brake pads, slide them back forward and re-secure. I installed longer front wheel studs. I put 4-inch wheel studs on my car plus 3/4-inch spacers. Longer front wheel studs will allow room for spacers, which then will allow you to get additional camber through camber bolts if you go that option. You'll also move your wheels out more flush with the fenders. My camber bolts got me additional camber beyond what the adjustable plates offered. Brake cooling deflectors up front to help keep your front big brakes cool. I have Borsche leg brake deflectors. More specific track brake pads. I have Hawk Performance DTC 70s up front, 60s in the rear. The 70s up front are not to be used on the street as they will ruin your rotors when at street temperatures. They're designed to work hot. When I rarely drive my car on the street, I just use downshifting when slowing or coming to a stop to ease the braking. Exhaust wrap to keep the temps down in the rear diff and half shafts. There are various companies to offer solutions to firm up your rear end. I have the Keltrack Posilock rings to stiffen up the IRS subframe cradle. I put a seat cover on my driver's seat to minimize wear and rubbing. I got mine at Walmart and cut slits for the harness. It's time to talk about you, the driver. For HPDE, shorts and t-shirts are sometimes allowed. Some organizations will require long sleeve shirts and pants, often made of natural fibers. Closed-toed shoes are almost always required. Fire suit and gloves are nice, but not normally required. I do have a suit, gloves, head sleeves, shoes, socks, and a chill vest, not normally required. You're going to need an automotive helmet dated within the last 10 years. If you don't have one, you can usually rent one at the track. SA helmets are for automotive. Motorcycle helmets have an M designator. Karting helmets have a K designator. Motorcycle and karting helmets don't have fire-resistant material as you don't get trapped in a burning motorcycle or kart. Automotive helmets are made with fire-resistant materials. SA and K standards allow for a narrower field of view than M helmets. Also, automotive helmets must be rated for multiple impacts as in a rollover, where motorcycle helmets aren't as robust. HAN stands for head and neck restraint. It helps prevent whiplash or a broken neck. There are provisions for with or without harnesses, meaning you can get a version to work with a seatbelt or a harness. Sunglasses. Don't forget your sunglasses. You're often going on track early in the day when the sun is low, or you're there late in the day when the sun is also low. Sun's right in your face, you're going to need sunglasses. Keep track of your experience. Like a flight log book or a scuba diver's log, you can list your experience on motorsportsreg.com for track organizers to see. When switching between organizations though, they may or may not honor your experience. Well, that'll do it for video 2 of this series covering car prep, pre-track maintenance, driver prep, driver gear, car mods, and tires. Be sure to check out video 3 next. That covers track day packing checklists, what to do once you're at the track, HPDE terms, flags, and carbon fiber wheels special care instructions. Remember, if you have other tips, tricks, hacks, or disagree with something I've said, please contribute and add it to the comments below. Thanks for watching and have fun at the track.